A great stager doesn't just see what's in a home, they see what it is capable of. The first 60 seconds in a home, a trained eye identifies a lot of things. They see the biggest moments of impact and opportunities the home has to offer. They see the challenges that we sort of want to disguise and mask and make less important. But they also are thinking methodically about the story they want to tell in a home. The moment I walk into a home, before I say a single word, my brain starts going. I'm scanning the space and I'm going, what is the biggest moment of impact? What is the architectural feature that is absolutely show-stopping? Is there a chandelier in the foyer that makes all the impact in the world? Is there a view out the back that we need to really focus on? Does the dining room have a massive statement that is beautiful and stunning? What is that wow moment that I want every buyer to see when they walk into the property the first time? The reason is this is so important is because when I walk into a space, there are 5 different ways that I could stage any room. I could tell 5 different stories. And it's not that one is necessarily right or wrong, but typically one of those stories is most compelling for the buyers. And so I really want to make sure that I hone in who this home is, what its characteristics and qualities are, and where I want the statement to be. Because once I land on that statement, everything else in a staging plan and strategy aligns and falls in with that decision. The second thing that I think about when I'm first walking into a home is the opposite. What is less than ideal about this property? Are there things that there are imperfections around? Are there walls that have slight scuffs? Is the floor scratched somewhere? Is there kind of an eyesore or a smaller than ideal living room that we need to really make sure that we're handling? It is just as important for me to showcase the really wow moment in a home as it is for me to make sense of the imperfections, because we don't want that to ever be an obstacle for a buyer. It's not that we want to hide imperfections. It's that we want the buyer to walk in and understand, sure, this exists, but look, it's really not that big of a deal once it's designed the right way and once we're living in the home. That's the conversion that you really want to see. Love design, but think like a business owner? If you're ready to leave your 9-to-5 and want to do something that's buildable and scalable, check out linden-creek.com/franchise and see if Linden Creek is the right fit for you. There are 2 things that make me feel immediately optimistic about a home when I walk into it and we're making decisions about staging. The first is natural light. Natural light is one of those details that is often overlooked, but the impact and the power around it is massive. We assess natural light because that works really great during the daytime, but if there are spaces that don't have natural light, we have to overcompensate for them. We need to make sure that we have lots of lamps and lighting solutions to really optimize the property so that when showings happen, it shows in the right way. The second massive green light that I see oftentimes is that the home is updated. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to do a massive renovation and overhaul your kitchen and your bathroom. Oftentimes, this can be something as simple as fresh paint because it gets rid of the scuffs and the wear and tear of home in real life that happens. And the second piece is updated lighting. There is nothing that says, hey, this house was built 40 years ago, more than a dated chandelier. And that is an investment that is often anywhere from $300 to $3,000 that is going to completely transform the home and say, this is a fresh home that's ready for a new family. Staging is a powerful tool, but there are some things that staging just can't fix. Let me share an example with you. We recently staged a multi-million-dollar property. The home was stunning. Every architectural detail is everything you ever dreamed that it would be. There were fine details of wood custom cabinets in the kitchen, and the built-ins were exquisite. The challenge with the house is when you looked out the kitchen window, when you looked out the bedroom window, you didn't see beautiful rolling green grass or trees. You saw the neighbor right there in your face. This is one of those things that staging obviously can't fix. We can't change how close your neighbor is to your existing home as you're selling it. But what we can do is change the frame in which you really think about how the home is showcased. And so when we take attention away from the fact that, yep, my neighbor is right there, and we showcase that really you're living in the living room, and the living room is far away from the windows, so you have the privacy that you're looking for. And in that dining room, same story, same scenario. You have the privacy you're looking for. The neighbors don't even notice what's happening. We actually are staging furniture in spaces that are further away from that window view. So when a buyer walks through, they understand when they're living in a home, they're going to be living in the spaces that don't matter, that are far away from that neighbor, that give the privacy and the real life that they actually want to have. I want to tell you a story about a home we recently staged and just how impactful that first 60 seconds can be on the entire staging strategy of a home. We had a builder of ours that decided that they wanted to build something very modern. They wanted a statement in Raleigh, North Carolina that was unlike what somebody else had ever done. And so they leaned very contemporary in their design styles, in their finishes, in their details. They brought us in for staging and they said, we want to go modern. And I remember looking at them and I said, yes, but we want to go modern, but most of Raleigh is not ready for intense modern. So what if with the furnishings, the details, we go modern, but we bring it down a shift and go a little bit more transitional, make it feel a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more eye-opening, a little bit more conversational and less poised and perfect and streamlined. We don't necessarily want this to reflect a New York condo because that's not who your buyer is going to be for this property. They hesitated for a bit. I was messing with their vision. They wanted the house to be something wildly, wildly modern, but they decided to just lean into it and they said, you know what? We trust you, do your thing. And so we staged the home and the home showcased beautifully. It had modern furnishings, but we brought in transitional pieces to kind of break into another demographic and appeal to the masses. But here's something funny that happened. This home was actually showcased in the Parade of Homes, and we were working with a client for interior design at the time. We were trying to work through some renovations and we're in the initial drafting stage of it. They went and took a look at the parade house that we had staged and they said, hold off on our interior design project. We actually want to buy that house instead. And so we paused on the interior design project. They purchased the home that we staged. And when we completed it, we fully furnished their new home. What's interesting is the home was fully furnished in a completely transitional furniture style. They loved the modern architecture and feel of the home, but the reality for them was that transitional is what made the home feel like home. I share this story to say this. Sometimes there's strategy around appealing to the masses. We can create something beautiful all day long. We can build gorgeous statements all day long. But when we appeal to the masses and we really think about the ideal demographic that's going to buy the home, that is where the secret sauce is in success. That first 60 seconds of walking in and strategizing and thinking it through, that's where the magic really happens. The thing I see that sometimes others in a room don't is the potential. Like I said before, there are opportunities where I walk into a room and I see 5 different ways we could tell 5 different stories. It's not that one is right or wrong. It's that one story is probably still going to be most compelling to the masses. The first 60 seconds in a home are also the buyer's first 60 seconds. What a stager sees in those moments, the potential that they're imagining, that is exactly what the buyer is going to experience. And that's why those first 60 seconds matter so much. The next time you're at a listing walkthrough, let me challenge you with this. Before you say anything, before you do anything, just stand there right inside the front door and spend 60 seconds looking around. What do you see? What do you notice? What stands out that's good? What stands out that's bad? That first 60 seconds is the transformation we need to make when we stage a property. And that transformation is what the buyer is going to see and the impact they'll have. If you found this conversation useful, subscribe. Until next time, this is In Good Space.